For 1,000 years, the stars gave us nothing but silence. No reply, no echo, only the endless void of space. Generations lived and died, staring at the sky, waiting for an answer that never came. But then, one day, the silence broke. A signal arrived, a voice older than empires, carrying words that would rewrite the destiny of every human alive. This is the story of the message that ended 1,000-year silence. The year was 4932 of the stellar calendar. Humanity had spread across 100 worlds, yet our greatest unanswered question remained the same as it had been since Earth's dawn. Are we alone? The old Earth archives recorded centuries of searching. Vast telescopes had scoured the sky, listening for whispers in the static. Artificial intelligences had devoted themselves entirely to decoding cosmic background noise. And still, for nearly a millennium, the universe gave nothing back. We had begun to call it the Great Silence. Civilizations rose and fell under its weight. Some saw it as proof we were chosen, unique among the stars. Others took it as evidence that intelligence always destroys itself before it can speak. But whatever the interpretation, one truth held. Humanity's hope for an answer was fading. And yet, we kept listening. On the barren world of Epsilon 9 stood the Grand Array, a forest of radio towers stretching to the horizon, all tuned to the frequencies of the deep cosmos. For generations, it had been automated, tended only by a handful of caretakers. Most dismissed it as a relic of human stubbornness. But to those who believed, it was a cathedral, built not for gods, but for contact. The signal came at 2:47 local time. Caretaker Lyra Juno was alone on the night shift, her console bathed in cold blue light. She had long since stopped expecting miracles. Her job was maintenance, clearing dust, checking calibrations, keeping the machines alive. But then her screen flickered. A narrow spike appeared on the frequency spectrum, sharp, clean, impossible to confuse with cosmic noise. Her first instinct was to dismiss it as interference. But the pattern repeated, then again, then, impossibly, it began to change. Lyra froze, her heart hammered. The sequence was too precise, too deliberate. It was a message. She activated the emergency protocols, transmitting the signal to the central archive. Across the galaxy, servers lit up. Artificial intelligences woke from centuries of quiet routines, dedicating themselves entirely to the decoding effort. And as the hours passed, a phrase emerged. Not words, not sound, but mathematics, the universal language, ratios of prime numbers, fractals within fractals, a lattice of meaning, unfolding like a flower. By dawn, humanity knew. The silence was over. The decoded transmission stunned every world. It was not a simple greeting. It was ancient. Layers upon layers of knowledge woven into light. At its heart, one undeniable fact revealed itself. This was not the first message. Buried within the signal were timestamps stretching back millennia. The voice had spoken again and again, long before humanity had even mastered fire. For thousands of years, across distances inconceivable, it had been calling out, a beacon, endlessly repeating, and we had only just learned to listen. The content was breathtaking. Star charts of galaxies unseen, biological blueprints of life forms no human eye had witnessed, instructions for technologies beyond our reach. But among the flood of information, one fragment stood apart. A sentence. Translated, it read, "We waited for you. Do not repeat our silence." The galaxy erupted. On every colony world, debates raged. What did the message mean? Was it a warning, a plea, an invitation? Some argued it was a gift, proof that life endured beyond our fragile species. Others feared it was bait, a trap set by powers far older, far wiser than we could ever be. Governments convened emergency councils. Armies went on alert. For the first time in centuries, humanity was united in fear and awe. At the Grand Array, Lyra Juno became an unwilling symbol. Newsfeeds broadcast her face endlessly, calling her the listener. She felt none of the glory, only the weight of history pressing down, as if she had opened a door that could never be shut again. The greatest question of all loomed before us. Should we answer? Months passed. The signal did not repeat. Silence returned, but it no longer felt empty. Now, it felt like anticipation, as though something out there was waiting for our reply. The Stellar Council called for a vote across all human worlds. Billions participated. The question was simple: respond or remain silent. The results were razor-thin, half-feared exposure, half-longed for connection. And at the heart of the deadlock, one truth remained undeniable. Whoever sent the message had already known we were here, long before we understood how to speak back. In the end, humanity chose to answer. At the Grand Array, Lyra stood once more at her console. Her hands trembled as she entered the final command. For the first time in history, humanity's collective voice, a signal encoded with mathematics, art, music, and the DNA blueprint of our species, surged into the cosmos, a reply to the ancient beacon. We were no longer silent. The response would take decades, maybe centuries, to reach its destination, and longer still for any reply to return. Most alive today would never live to see the consequences, but the effect was immediate. Children on distant colonies now gazed at the stars with wonder, not indifference. Artists filled the void with visions of the civilizations that might await us. Scientists devoted themselves to unlocking the secrets within the alien message, and humanity, fractured, weary, divided, felt for the first time in 1,000 years, united. Lyra Juno retired quietly, fading from the endless headlines. She lived the rest of her life under unfamiliar skies, knowing she had witnessed the end of the Great Silence. And as she looked up on her final night, she whispered the words that had haunted her since that first decoding. "We waited for you. Do not repeat our silence."